Hello, everybody, and welcome to another case study. I am here today with my, I suppose, new friend, even though Layla's been around for a while, Layla from the UK. How you doing, Layla?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks, Stephen. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm going to tell you something kind of strange, but it's true. A friend of mine, his dog was called Layla, but there
Yeah.
you go. It was a really cute dog. I just remembered after I passed. I don't know why I said that to you. There you go. What a great way to start an interview. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's it. All joking aside, I want to ask you, how do people get started on, how does someone like you in the UK going through
hmm
your normal life get started selling on Amazon? How did
Yeah.
that?
So for me, it was really through self-development. So I'm in a corporate 9 to 5. At the time when I joined the program, it was 2019.
Yeah.
So I, at that time, was looking for a way out of my job.
Yeah.
And I started a lot of self-development. So I started watching a lot of YouTube videos. That's kind of where I started with it all.
Yeah.
And I was watching a lot of Project Life Mastery, because I know obviously I watched Tatiana's video as well the other day.
Yep.
And so I kind of was on a path of self-development, and obviously within that there was a lot of messages around building the life you want and, you know, creating your own future.
Yep.
So that was something very new to me, and it was through that I started seeing people, you know, talk about passive incomes, and that's something that I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
So in a 9 to 5, you know, you're trading time for money.
Yeah.
You get used to you're the employee, you don't dictate how much you earn. So it was a very new concept to me. I'd never heard of it really. That kind of started my interest. I knew that I wanted to come out of my 9 to 5, know how to do that. So that was quite a long process for me to just work out how I could make money
Yes.
without, you know, an employer. So then I noticed a lot of adverts for ASM, which is Amazing Selling Machine. So that was kind of the first time I'd become aware of Amazon and FBA. I kind of was drawn into that initially, and I did explore that program and look at it. But the price tag actually put me off initially. I remember thinking that's a lot of money
Yeah.
to invest in a course. So I didn't go with that. And I started looking up, you know, alternatives to this. And obviously Marketplace Superheroes was coming up in forums saying, actually, this program's really good. And, you know, the cost at the time was much less than the other programs. So that kind of drew me in that direction. I was not, up to this point, had no awareness of Amazon in terms of from Amazon. Yeah, but I didn't know that you could actually, you know, use it as an FBA platform. So that was completely new concept to me.
It's great. And so you initially got started by, as I say, developing yourself, which is really, really great. And it's funny, a lot of people who come to us actually started out by, you know, looking to develop themselves, develop their skills, and they run into this idea of selling on Amazon and all of that. And yeah, it's kind of normal. A lot of people, they might look at a program like ASM, which again is another really good program in this area. And yeah, some people, they're put off by, say, a higher investment or whatever. And yeah, I'm not going to comment on their program, obviously, but I suppose, yeah, it's good that investing with ourselves was affordable, number one. But number two, like I think as well, but we always make clear is that we would rather have it that our program was less expensive so that you can do other things. In other words, like you can go into your freight, we can help you with that, and we can partner with you longer term. So I suppose for anybody watching, that's kind of like what we do. I suppose what's different about us as well. We came into the program anyway, and how long did it take you to kind of get used to the research process, to feel like you were somewhat confident about research, and what did that look like for you?
So when I kind of came in, I was obviously watching all the modules. The research process was long for me. So I'd never dealt with e-commerce, had no reference points. I was literally following the program. So research did take a while. I remember just blocking out. At the beginning, I did whole weekends.
Yeah.
Which in hindsight is way too much. And it's actually, I was quite overwhelmed because I was researching like 8 or 9 hours a day.
Your poor family.
And I just was, I think I got to a point where I was like, okay, I feel like I'm getting this.
Yeah.
But I think it was that intense immersion of learning the research that actually did help me.
Yeah.
Because I picked a product quite quickly within a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was quite quick considering I was a beginner as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, a lot of people, the biggest thing you probably see in the community as well, it takes people time to like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
pull the trigger to invest in something. Because again, like anything, there's people have all these fears and bad sort of programming, like I used to have to from and our upbringings and things like that, and beliefs around us and all right. Because I'm guessing that a lot of people around you now are probably not business owners. They probably never had their own thing. So yeah, it is kind of daunting, right, to pull the trigger on something, but fair play to you. You did it, you went through it, you pulled the trigger. And so you got your first product relatively quickly, and that's great. And is that product, you're selling that right now, right? That
so that product's completely sold out. So just to mention as well, when I came into the program, I was on the original, the standard program. I actually upgraded to Origin.
Yes, you joined Origin, that's right, yes.
Yeah, within a couple of weeks. And that was because for me, I just felt I needed more support.
Yeah.
So that really helped me to have a mentor that helped me, I think, speed up the process because I had a bit more confidence.
Yeah. I think that gives you confidence too. Like you said, like it gives you that feeling of, well, if they're looking at it and they don't think I'm insane, then maybe I'm not insane. So that's like a good thing. It's a good check. Like, cause I know what that's like. I've always told my stories. I'm sure I've heard it a million times. It's the same with me when I first met Robert, totally clueless, made a load of mistakes. Then I had this guy kind of looking at what I was doing, giving me that confidence to say, no, you're doing the right thing. Go and do that. So that's great. And I mean, it's brilliant that your product is sold out now. Obviously it's bad too, right? Because we'd like to have them in stock, but but during this time, like obviously bearing in mind, you had a coach, you joined the Origin program. What would you say were some of the biggest lessons that you learned during this time, maybe about products or about whatever would stand out to you that were like, if I could just tell people these few things, I think it would help them a lot.
Yeah, I think it does take time. I came into this kind of wanting to leave my job very quickly at the time.
Sure.
And it takes longer than you think to learn something brand new. And it's that process of the learning, and then it's the process of obviously shipping your product. And it's that, what you talk about, one product obsession. I've definitely had that. That resonates with me because at this point in time, I still do only have that one product. I'm working on other products, but we're selling that one. So I think it's sold out. So which I think I didn't expect that either, to be honest. That was a 300 unit order that I'd done for that one.
Yeah.
And as soon as
you have to tell the product or anything. What was the sales price of that one, Layla?
I started at $13.99. But I actually, because it was selling so quickly, I put the price up to try and reduce the sales in a sense.
Yeah.
So I kind of crept it to $14.99, $15.99. It was still selling, and then I ran out of stock. So this was in COVID as well. So there was a period of time where I could only send in one box.
Yes.
So that was one case of 26 units.
Right, which probably didn't.
So that kind of slowed down. But then at one point, I think one of the days I sold 23 units. So I basically sold out my box.
It's great. And so now that's obviously on reorder. It's heading. I'm assuming you did a bigger order for your second order?
Yeah, so I did 500 at this point, just because with seasonality, I'm not sure with this product whether actually, the great weather we had did impact the sales as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've kind of, if I'd had, 1,000 units in that time frame, they all would have gone. I've no doubt about that. Yeah,
and amazing on your first order, if you had 1,000 units at a 14 pounds price tag, it's pretty significant. Like, like a new business, and there's 13, 14 grand in sales, pretty quickly. So that's
Yeah.
great. And I mean, it is amazing the power of like, and even with you, like, you're talking about a really great day. It was maybe 23 units sold in a day or whatever. But in the grand scheme of things in the world, like that's obviously still pretty small. But to us, it's a big deal because it does equate to quite a lot, So that's fantastic. And I think that's brilliant. So I also would like to pick up on your first point, which I really agree with, which is it does take time to learn something. I think you have a brilliant point you made, which was I wanted to quit my job kind of quickly. And I know how that feels. Yeah. Believe me, I know how that feels. And sometimes actually, I think the reason people feel that way, number one is maybe they don't love the career they're in. But number two, I think the bigger thing is it's like a lot of other people will tell you like you can quit and be full-time and be making loads of money and all the rest in like 30 to 90 days or whatever. And it's very rare that happens actually. Like in most businesses, as I'm sure you know, like traditional businesses take 2-3 years just to break even. Here's you coming in with a product and it jumps out like that. So I think if you look at it, I feel like, I hope you feel this way, that you achieve quite a lot there in a fairly short period of time, which is really encouraging. And I could see you, well, you're going to grow quite considerably from here,
Yeah. And that's the thing for me, I'd never made a sale online.
Yeah.
And once, that was another point, it did take about a month for my product to bed into the system.
Yeah, normal.
So from when it went into stock for then the first sale was like a month. And I thought at this point, it's a
loser.
Yeah, maybe like the keywords are wrong, or I started kind of thinking a lot of things, and actually that was just the product bedding in. So you have to be patient with the product and allow that process and not be attached to the outcome.
Well, there's millions of items, right? And your item is one of many million that have to bed in, right?
Yeah.
So it takes, and I know what it's like everything, right? Like I was the very same when I started. It's like, oh, it's my product and I wanted to do whatever. Like you'd have this tiny order and a freight forwarder at the time, obviously before Superhero Freight. You'd like, you want them to really care about your order, but it's so small. They're just like, whatever, but it means a lot to you. So I totally get that. But again, hey, when it bedded in after the month, it must have started to pick up pretty quickly then, did it?
Yeah, it started. So I was selling in the UK at the time, and then I quickly activated the other markets.
Yeah.
So then I had like quite a few sales from Spain, Germany coming in. So they were kind of speeding up the units being sold as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so it quickly went from probably 5 units a day to quickly jumping up to kind of 15, and then it was up to like the 23 mark. So that was daily, and I knew I was just running out of stock. So it was tricky because I knew I wanted the sales, but I knew also I didn't have the stock to replenish as well. So that was hard. That's something that I think in that situation, I don't think I could have done it differently because it was the first product and first order. So it's difficult to know if that's going to sell or not.
Yeah, you can't know really. It's, as you say, you're right. You got to get the real data in place, which you did. But I mean, that's still great. So Layla, you're a believer now at this point in time then, right? We can say that.
Yeah.
So now it's just about more products and obviously getting your one product that you've reordered back in and start analyzing that early, because you wouldn't know, like, I mean, with all the other countries as well and stuff like that, like you'd be kind of surprised. I think that's a mistake I see a lot of people make, that they don't start looking at their sales early enough. And before they know it, then they're in a run rate that's going to really put them out of sales pretty quickly. Because I mean, even if you get back to 10 units a day, there's still 300 units in a month. So I would suggest to you that with this new order, you're going to have to start looking at that relatively early, because the minute you start getting anywhere close to 5-10 units a day, you have to reorder,
That's the thing. I just know as soon as that happens, I'll be
right on it.
Flyer.
That's brilliant.
That's another point. It's actually I think for people is the relationship with the supplier is actually key.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get that rapport and the way they're going to kind of react and help you as well, I found for me, you need that relationship to work.
100%.
Well, and that's what I look for in new suppliers, is that actually they're willing to make changes on the product, they're willing to help you with price. They're as invested as you
Yeah, they're looking for long
So
term.
that's, yeah, yeah, and looking ahead to larger orders. So that's something that I look for definitely with suppliers as well.
I love that. I love that you're speaking like that. This is things I look for now because you know what you're doing now as well, right? You know what you're looking for now. And a lot of
Mhm.
people, when they start out, they think I'm never going to be like that. I'm never going to know what to look for. But isn't it
Yeah,
amazing how quickly when you apply what you're learning? I think that's the
yeah.
big thing. When you apply it, you learn pretty quickly, don't you?
That's a good point. That's the massive difference is actually you can learn this, but if you're not doing it, then you're not in business and you're not, it's just a concept.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's,
exactly. But yeah.
yeah, there's a
Uh,
big
What,
difference as
yeah.
well.
Well, that's it. And again, from your story today, what we can all take away is like you would have loved to have you would have loved to have put more money down in the first place to
Yeah.
get a bigger reward, right? And I think that's so interesting because everybody, they'll ask the question, well, like, how little can I start with? And that's what I always say to people.
Mhm.
It's like, well, the better thing is like, do you want to make the least amount of money or the most? And everyone says the most. So I think that's your story really shows that up. Like, number one, you can't know, but number two, it can really work even on your first product. Like when you take your time, bit extra help with coaching, you know, off you go. So I think that's unreal. And by the way, your story today will inspire a lot of people watching because many times people come on and they get their first product wrong and they still succeed. You've kind of gone the
Mhm.
other way. You've had a big success with your first product. Now you're getting in your next
Yeah.
products. And it'll be cool to see maybe a year from now if we can come back and chat to you, be cool to see what happened next, you know?
Yeah, that's my focus now is so I've got 4 products in my mind. That's the next
Yeah.
goal. And to leave my job is the kind of larger goal. So
Yeah.
yeah, it would definitely be good to catch up again when I'm further ahead because I do, and I think the difference in treating this like a business and a hobby.
Yeah.
And definitely at the beginning, I was treating it like a hobby
Yes.
and not taking it seriously enough. Whereas now I'm like, actually, customers want this product and I'm responsible for making sure that's in stock. So it's a different mindset as well.
Yes. I love that. And I'd say that's huge what you just said though. And then when in your mind would you say you made that change to be like, this is a real business, and I'll take this seriously? When would you say that happened for you?
I think that was really when it started to sell and actually when I got reviews.
Yeah.
People were saying this is really good and it's really helpful. That kind of was a turning point for me because I was like, actually, people need this product. And I'm, actually facilitating that.
That's it, because we always say it as well. It's like you're helping people solve a problem and you mightn't feel like
Mhm.
it's a big problem, but as you
Yeah.
just said, they want the product, that's why they're buying it. So that's
Yeah.
huge.
So that was
Well,
a big draw for me just to be, that kind of shifted it for me then. It wasn't about me anymore. It was like, oh, people want the product, like, and I need to make sure that I have it. So yeah, that kind of shifted me into more of the what you talk about, the producer mindset and not
yeah.
just the consumer. Because it's even when you're doing research, you're like, oh, I need this product myself. You end up shopping. I think a lot of people end up doing that, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, no, I'm the producer. I'm not just here
Yes.
to consume all the time, and that's a big shift as well to not
Yeah.
think like that.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you really listen. That's a great thing about you. Like you're listening to what we're saying and you're applying what we're saying and you're getting
Mm-hmm.
great results. So I mean, well done to you. You know, I mean, you're working in a job. You probably, I think you've got one or two kids, one kid. You got any kids?
One, yeah, I've got
Yeah.
a 4-year-old. So at the time
Yeah.
I started, he was younger. So I research and do this work outside of my job and
Yeah.
out of him. So
That's
yeah.
huge though. I mean, my own wife, she's not in a full-time job. She was a
Mhm.
school teacher and she's still on a career break. I don't know if she's going to go back. But she obviously looks after our little boy. He's a year and a half old now. And I mean, she does a little bit of work for Marketplace Superheroes, with sort of like proofreading and things like that. But even with her, like I can see it's difficult. Like, and especially with you have a job as well. Like, and obviously when the kid is smaller, it's a job and it's always a job. But I mean, the fact you've been able
Yeah.
to do that, it's going to inspire a lot of mothers here are watching as well, and they
Mhm.
got small kids, and that's a big thing. Like, just before we do wrap up, like, would you have any tips for people who maybe have small kids? What worked for you particularly well to get some of these things done?
I think for me, I have a very strong why I'm doing it. And you do need that motivation to be able to log on, because some days you're just so tired, you don't want to maybe do research and you don't want to do any of these things.
Yeah.
And it's having a clear purpose of what you're trying to do and why you're researching and doing those things.
Yes.
For me, tips, I do like a lot of batch cooking, and I'm very organized with meals and time. And it's about if you can kind of break your day down. And for me, it's set a timer and I'll do 40 minutes of research, and then I'll, the timer goes off and I've got to go and do something else. So you just kind of if you can slot these things into your day, leverage your time in other places, I think that allows you to work on this.
Brilliant advice. But also I love that, because you're going to get the most out of that 40 minutes, right? I'm focused. Like, I've only got 40 minutes here. I got to get it done,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does make you actually more focused.
Yeah.
And I've been using the Brain FM app, I think.
Yes, my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really good. That's really helped me actually just to focus for that time.
I love the rain focus. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, it does work. It's quite crazy. Initially, I was like, this is never going to work, but it does work.
Yeah, especially if you're like, obviously it's not always possible when you're a mother, and maybe you have to keep an ear out. But for me, whenever I can use noise cancelling headphones, it's unbelievable, because you really are zoned in, But that's awesome. I mean, look, a really inspiring story, Layla. I mean, thanks so much for coming on and sharing and for giving some of your time. I know you're in between working, getting back to work and everything else. So thanks so much for coming on and inspiring everybody. I really appreciate it. Everybody else here does as well. Please jump down and give Layla a thank you, maybe some feedback as well. Cheer her on, because she's doing great, and I think she'll really appreciate your support. So thanks again, Layla. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to helping you more as well as we go further and we keep seeing you succeed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time as well.